traction control. Many of you may remember this project. It's our 1981 Ford Fairmont station wagon. We had it on the dyno. It made 936 horsepower to the ground, and it has gone as quick as a 908 at 151. We built it for drag week, as you can see on the windshield, and it's been a great car overall, but today we're going to do something a little different with it. If you guys followed the original build, we put a Holley Terminator X Max on the car. It's been working great, probably the best ECU I've ever tuned with, but in order to get some of the more advanced features that I would like to put on this car, you need to spend a lot more money, and I'm not willing to do that, because it's not like a little bit more money, it's a lot more money. So what we're going to do today is we're going to convert the car to a MegaSquirt Gold Box. If you guys don't know what this is, it's probably the best bang for your buck ECU in the market. It can do full closed loop traction control, lots of really neat stuff. It's not really limited on I/O as much as the Holley stuff is, so you can wire in all kinds of fancy stuff. But the centerpiece of today's video is this awesome harness made by LSX Specialties. Now, you guys may recognize that name. They typically do stock ECU harnesses like a P01 or a P59, and he has recently branched into the aftermarket ECU arena. So this is literally the first Gold Box harness that he has ever made. We're going to get that wired in, pull the Holley out, and then while we're here, we are going to install some different injectors from our friends at Snake Eater Performance. They are 1500cc injectors. They are the new body style. They have the EV6 connector instead of the EV1. These are just as capable, so we're going to prove that as well. Right now what's on the car are Bosch 210s. That's way too much fuel, frankly, and we want to use them on another project, so we're going to do that swap as well. Also, with the swap to the Gold Box, we need to go to a mechanical throttle body, because I have a electronic throttle body on the car with the Holley, and I of course saved my original Fairmont pedal, so we got to put that back in. So before we get started, I want to go over exactly why we're converting to the Gold Box. If you guys haven't seen this car, it's a twin turbo, 6 liter, makes a lot of power. It's kind of an animal on the street. Like, you get into the throttle and it wants to put you into a ditch, and then you get off the throttle and get back on it and wants to put you on the other ditch. It's kind of a handful. So I tried a more rudimentary way to do traction control with the Holley ECU. It didn't work too well. They have a standalone traction control feature that they offer and sell, but you need to spend a lot more money to get it, and I'm not ready to do that. So Gold Box comes in the box. Everything you need is there, and it's basically the same control as what you get on a Holley. So I want to put this in the car, take the wheel speed sensors I already have wired, hook them into this, and then we're gonna try and tame this beast and try to make it a little more drivable on the street. Frankly, it's not a whole lot of fun. It's kind of terrifying. That's what we're up to today. First step is gonna be get the old junk off, and then we'll start putting the new stuff on. is traction control? Well, it comes in many forms, but in a very basic sense, it is anytime that you are adding or removing power to maximize the traction of your tire. And I did say adding. There are some traction control strategies that add timing. So there's a couple different types. I've outlined them here. So there's open loop, where there's a couple different methods of that. And that's one such method is drive shaft speed curve, where you define a drive shaft speed curve over time, and the traction control strategy, basically it tries to target that drive shaft speed as close as it can, usually by removing power to get there. There's boost versus time, where you basically just target a boost level over time. Then there is a ignition timing versus time or speed, where you define a ignition timing ramp and try to maximize the amount of traction. Those are all open loop. When I say open loop, that means there's no feedback data that's being read in that is using to react. Closed loop, this is what we're going to be using today. Slip percentage. So basically what slip percentage is doing is it is doing the driven wheel speed versus the undriven wheel speed, and it is trying to keep the driven wheel speed within a certain percentage of the undriven wheel speed. Another method of closed loop is RPM spike. Basically it looks at your RPM, and if it goes at a rate that is too high, which you define, it will cut power. And then the third type of traction control is predictive. I'm not going to talk about that too much just because I don't know a lot about it, but an example of that is a Davies box. So let's talk about slip percentage, since that's what we're doing today. So if you look up here at this graph, you can see I've drawn a little graph. This represents an instant in time. On our x-axis, you can see the torque supplied by the engine. On the y-axis, you can see the acceleration of the vehicle. The more torque you apply, the more it will accelerate the vehicle to a point, and that point is when it loses traction. So in our case, we are going to target 5% slip to try to, essentially you can't just magically know where the tire is going to slip. So what we have to do is we have to react to when it starts slipping and try to minimize that as much as possible. We are probably going to target a 5% slip. Ideally you want that as little as possible, but 5% is just what people have found experimentally to work the best. Down here you can see 10% slip, you're going to get even less acceleration of the vehicle. Obviously we want to be as little as possible. I mean, frankly, this may be even lower where it's 5%. I just drew a line somewhere to, kind of give it an arbitrary value. Let's get it hooked up and see if it works.
Here, I got a zip tie for you. Wires everywhere. Okay. Alright. I'm ready to die now. Okay. Okay. We did it, boys. We did it. I'm the king of the world. It's separate from the... Oh, wait. Oh, where's that one go? Oh, you're just sitting on it. Okay. Okay. Yay!
Alright guys, so I want to talk about why you pay the extra money for a harness from LSX Specialties. So something I really like about the Holley harness is all of your injectors are on their own separate harness, so you can take the intake off and it's separate from the rest of the harness. You just unplug it and you go. But there are some disadvantages to that, where you may have certain features that go in different places. So for example, my coil harness on this car, they normally put the coils so that they're in their stock location, which is on top of the valve cover. So your throttle body and all the wiring for that is up here. So you have to run this along the fuel rail, and you have to have the plug there. But let's say you have headers that are right next to your coils and you need to remote mount the coils. What sucks about that is your plug's right here. So you gotta get a extender and run it back like this, run it back the harness, and then get to your coils, which may be down here. That's super annoying. On the Fairmont, we have one side, the coils are remote mount down at the bottom, the other side they're on the stock location. So this side works out, this side, which is here, does not. So I was able to make an extension harness and get everywhere I need to go. But if we move over to the harness from LSX Specialties, you'll see that every single run is its own individual run. So if you have coils that are mounted over here, they can go over there, and your injectors go up here, you know, and you can run every individual sensor as its own separate thing. So if you have weird stuff to do with your engine bay, you know, because you had to put your coils over here and your injectors up here, and you know, had to put everything in weird spots, it allows you to route everything how you wish. And let's say you have it in the stock location, you can just zip tie these together and run them together, and it all works out. So if I had any suggestions, having a separate harness for your injectors on this harness would be kind of cool. But overall, I mean, this harness is awesome. I mean, it's the quality. He uses heat shrink with the glue infused heat shrink, so everything looks so nice. Okay. Notice how they all have their own little labels. Plug, push. Beautiful. Alright guys, so some of you might be saying, you're getting rid of your little 3.5-inch display with the Holly. What are you going to do to replace it? Well, I bought this little tiny, it's Raspberry Pi based 7-inch display, and I'm going to integrate it into the stock dash of the car, about there. I'm going to be running a Android based Shadow Dash application on this guy, and then it'll talk to the ECU and display all my numbers. So I'm getting an upgrade, going from this to this. digital dash, I want to install a wideband gauge. So I have this Innovate dual wideband gauge, and I'm going to cut out my little vent here because I don't have AC or heat, and I'm going to make a little block off plate for here and sink my gauge into it. So that's what I'm going to do on this side. So these are all the wires we gotta wire up. It's only a couple. back to our little pool, we can see, yep, there it is, right there. See how we have a
This red line here is our rear wheel speed. This white line here is our front wheel speed. And you can see the green line is where it's yanking timing. So it's trying to keep the wheel speeds as close to each other as it can, within a certain tolerance, of course. And you can see that it pulled a little bit of timing there, a little bit of timing there. If we look at our boost, that was 10 pounds of boost. Yep, so it is working. Alright, well, we're going to have to dial in the rest of that on off camera, but for now I think we're going to call this a success. It runs, it drives, traction control works, so if you like the video, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'm going to get out of this heat, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.